Hey, and welcome back. All right, so in our last episode, we talked about the three patterns that make up 99% of anything you're going to conduct. In this episode, we're going to talk about some habits that I see some conductors develop and are working against you in your conducting. All right, so let me show you what I mean. So here's a 4 pattern. Nice and simple. And remember, we want to keep everything simple for our baseline pattern so we can add artistry later. All right, so here's a 4 pattern. Now watch what happens here. Notice that hitch that's coming in here? I see a lot of conductors do this. And my theory is that they're doing it because they are nervous about this outside space. This feels very open and it feels like it takes longer than it should. All right, but you just have to trust that your internal metronome is right, that your ensemble is going to follow you, and they don't need anything extra to fill that space. Okay, because if you do this, if you think about if your ensemble was honestly singing for you, in other words, they were responding to everything that you were doing, can you imagine if you added that in? So if I was singing Freude, schöne, gute Funke, right? We don't want to add anything that's going to detract from what we're actually trying to accomplish. So I call that the hitch. Get rid of the hitch. The other thing that I see some conductors do is a subdivision with their elbow, an accidental subdivision with their elbow, also in that same space. Again, that outside of the body space. So it looks like this: 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4, right? Not necessary. You're adding in a subdivision that doesn't have to be there. Sometimes when I'm conducting a gospel choir number, I'll add that bounce into it, get the energy going. I'm conducting a regional choir next month, and we're singing "My Soul's Been Anchored in the Lord," and yeah, I'm going to be doing some of that subdivision just to get that energy going. But for a baseline pattern, if that's become a habit for you, now's the time to break that. Remember, this is that bar class where we're going back and getting our fundamentals right. Okay, so here's the 2 things we're going to try to get rid of. If you have an inadvertent subdivision with your elbow, somewhere in there, and also, or any inadvertent subdivision. I see some conductors conduct with subdivisions all the time. Unless the piece calls for a subdivision because it's so slow or because you're trying to emphasize something on the offbeat, get rid of the subdivision. Your baseline pattern should be clear with no subdivisions. So getting rid of subdivisions of all kinds, and also get rid of that hitch on the outside. All right, I'll see you in the next episode.